Hi, I'm Lorne Steedley, Vice President for Diversity and Inclusion at the Chattanooga Area Chamber of Commerce. Today we have a special part of our DEI Forum series, and I have the pleasure of having two distinguished speakers for which we're going to talk about AI and its impact on business development here in the region. So this morning I just want to speak to our guest, Briana Garza from Chattanooga Taste, and also Professor Beni Asllani from University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. So by way of just a brief bio, just want to introduce both speakers. One is that Briana is, as I mentioned earlier, founder and owner of Chattanooga Taste. She is the mother of a sixth grader, also that of a daughter of a U.S. veteran, U.S. Army veteran. We're pleased to have her to join us in our panel today. And in addition to Briana, we have the pleasure of having Dr. Beni Asllani. Dr. Asllani holds the Rollins Professorship in Artificial Intelligence, showcased in the role as Distinguished Professor Expert in Data Analytics, Information Systems, and AI. Thank you both for being here. So guys, just by way of conversation, I think one of the things I think would be very helpful, Dr. Asllani, if you could give us sort of like what is AI? People talk about it, we discuss it all the time, everywhere we go. Maybe you could just give us some insight on what it is, what it means, and where do we go from here?
All right, Lorne, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being here. Before I talk a little bit about AI, what it is, we know that AI has been around for a while, although we have been using the phone, and as soon as we try here, there's a face recognition app, and there is read the email, there's a spam filter, it's an AI application. Banks use AI to approve loans, Netflix recommends movies based on so it's all about the smart homes these days, all have AI applications. But something happened in November 2022. Which this company, OpenAI, came up with ChatGPT. And everyone was amazed how ChatGPT is able to hold conversations, and people started to think that this is a computer that thinks like humans. So that's the definition of AI is a software where computers can process data, previous data, and come up with a set of knowledge and make actions, and they act like they are thinking like humans. Okay, so 2023 comes, and we all have been. Everyone knows. Like at the beginning, my students had no idea what is ChatGPT, and then later on, everyone knows about ChatGPT, and there are so many ChatGPTs for generative AI applications out there. And so 2023 is when people and businesses became aware of artificial intelligence. And 2024 is considered to be the year when businesses are trying to implement artificial intelligence. And there are some reasons, we'll talk about these reasons later in the conversation. But in terms of definition, it's just like trying to replicate the human brain, okay? And actually there's a group of artificial intelligence models that is called artificial neural networks. They actually replicate how neurons in the human brain work, okay? So that's how they're built, and that's where the power, like this came later in the 1990s, that when we have big data and we have all of these big data developments. So we're trying to replicate the humans. For example, take a child. When a child starts to learn, first it learns how to distinguish objects, right? A cat versus a dog versus a TV. So that by just looking at the objects, observing, then listens to language and starts speaking, and then later on starts to read, and then starts to write and be creative. And that is all by acquiring information, people around, school, all of this. So that's how humans become intelligent, right? The same way is machines. The machines become intelligent by processing a lot of data. And the reason we have artificial intelligence now so popular is because we are in the era of big data. So there's a lot of data around, and we have the opportunity now to train machines, so a lot of data, and we process them. And it's a lot of behind the scenes, a lot of mathematical functions, but the basic is that we learn from the past, and we try to, if we have future cases in the future that are similar, the machine will predict, like, because in the past this happened, then most likely it's going to happen the same, based on the same conditions. That is AI in general. The ChatGPT is an artificial, it's LLM, large language model, which it's like that part of when the child starts to speak, right? That's what it's similar to. For example, when a child say, I want to go out, right? And the next word will be to play or to cry. I don't know what could be the next word. But when you say I want to go, if the child had good experience and it's most likely goes out to play, then the child learns to use the word I want to go out play because the word play has a high probability of being used in that environment. So, and it is something, so the same thing is for ChatGPT. The idea is that if you have a token of words, then ChatGPT is fed with a lot of data. It's fed with the whole World Wide Web, actually. You know, up to, so it's the whole what does exist on the internet, fed ChatGPT, and then after a certain set of words, there is the likelihood that a certain word will come up after that. Okay. And that's the word. And then we create sentences. And after sentences, there is a likelihood that another sentence will be like, so there's all predictions, probabilities, again, that generate sentences, paragraphs, pages, you know, anything. And the same thing can be applied for images and other types of media. So overall, so to summarize is that artificial intelligence is basically about predictions. So if we know the past, we need to predict the future. But at this time, the predictions are done at a very high level. So because we have learned so much, computers are so smart, processing power is available, the technology is developed, and then we have predictions of the future. We can use, as I said, the bank can use an AI algorithm to predict to approve a loan or not. A small business can use to identify whether a customer will purchase a product or not, based on the previous data that we have. So there will be a lot of this. There are a lot of these applications that are simply predicting what will happen that can help the decision-making process.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And it gives us a great way to level set our conversation. And I know Briana, as a business owner, and is thinking about Dr. Asllani's conversation about the significance of 2023 and then also the previous year. So how have you gone about applying AI in your business?
Chatt Taste started in 2019. We've seen over 9,000 customers. So that's 9,000 data points for someone to aggregate. And in order for a small business to make informed decisions, you have to have reliable data. So again, I'm speaking to that small business owner where the owner is wearing some of the hats in the business, all of the hats in a business. There isn't always a position for data analysis. It's a dream in the future. So again, 9,000 guests since 2019. Through AI, we're able to aggregate where those customers are coming from, what their customer journey looks like, how long it takes to convert that customer from the first time they visit our website to them actually purchasing a food tour. From a marketing standpoint, if I can use AI to, let's say, for example, see that, all right, Q1, most of my customers are coming from Birmingham, Huntsville area. Maybe I don't need to purchase Google and Facebook ads for Atlanta, Georgia. So it has allowed my team to aggregate large points of data, and 9,000 points of interest is large for us, but there are middle and large businesses where 9,000 data points is nothing. We're talking about millions of points of data that you need to use and aggregate to make informed choices about your business. On a monthly basis, our AI generates a report. We know every customer we saw. We know the likelihood of that they are to repeat a food tour. We know that if they are a return customer, and we have a report policy. So we like to assign a tour guide to the same group if they book a tour again. They've established a relationship. They want to carry on and catch up where they left off. And that just wouldn't be possible. That is a customer service component that would have been 7-10 years in the future had we needed to scale and hire a position to aggregate that data.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great stuff. Great stuff. And I think too, it sort of speaks to, again, sort of collecting the information, the potential where it goes, how we begin to see it sort of probability and projections going forward. And maybe it kind of leads me to a question, Dr. Asllani, to you, and that is, what are some of the potential benefits and risks associated with AI? Because that's also been in the news a lot. People are scared of it, and some folks are embracing it. And part of this conversation is the potential of AI, particularly for small business development.
That's a great question. I think I get that question a lot, actually. And so AI is a new technology. It's here to stay and develop, and things will change. The business will change because now we have this powerful tool. And there are a lot of, one major benefit is the productivity. So because we have this tool, now we'll be able to do things faster, better, higher quality. We'll be able to replace a lot of automatic jobs. We will be able to replace with computers. And then so that will leave us time to deal with things that humans do better, such as critical thinking, communications skills, developing, coming up with the new ideas for the business. So that will be, productivity is going to be the one major benefit of the AI. Another benefit will be new products and services. Like Briana is using AI to develop her business. So that's that's a new business, and probably AI will make her move to the next level. A lot of new products will come, like video generators or computer coding. Especially, I think that's it's a big benefit for small and historically marginalized businesses, that they can use this tool to replace some of the resources that they don't have yet, and they can use them to move the business in much faster pace. So that's, of course, there are concerns. We have to be aware, because this is a technology that just like any other technology in the past, like job displacement will be a big concern that many businesses have. I think that in that aspect, I think the best approach is to embrace AI because generally the new technology will come up with higher productivity, new jobs will be created, new products will be created, so there will be that part of it in terms of job. And using AI, because there is this fear that, well, AI it replaced humans. I think AI will not replace humans, but humans that use AI will replace those that do not. So that's the whole idea. So that's the idea of implementing and increasing. So that's another concern. Another concern, the most I am concerned, the job displacement is something to deal, like every other technology, we have experience on that. But the concern that I have is the ethical and privacy and legal concerns. Now, the AI, as I said earlier, deals with a lot of big data. And data customers are used. And we have technologies previously using data, and the privacy, we have those privacy laws in place. The problem with AI is that it's a different level. Why do I say that? Because normally you can have do not call list. Like you see someone is using, you call and say, I don't want you to call me, you can unsubscribe. When this artificial intelligence models are built, they are using data available, right? So if I call, the opt-out does not exist anymore, because if I call, they have already used my information. So that's a very gray area. How do we deal with that? And like European Union have created the AI Act last year dealing with these specific issues. So that's time for government and other policy makers to consider more seriously this new aspect of AI. Not just, well, we have to create AI systems that protect our privacy, but how do we do that? That's the major thing that...
And Dr. Asllani, if I may, something that we need to realize is that Chattanooga is a beautiful city. We have access to phenomenal internet, but one thing that business owners, small, large, in between, have to do is the due diligence of cybersecurity. That is very important, and there is that, outside of AI, is still a major component that business owners have to take into consideration. The benefit is that most businesses aren't generating their own for example, credit card processing. So in terms of protecting your client and customer data, third-party businesses have typically integrated that technology into those protections into those data points. But your likeness. So I have a question for you.
Okay.
If someone were to take my image, I get this question all the time, so we're going to entertain it. Do I own my likeness? Do I own my voice? If it sounds like Briana, is it Briana? Am I liable for that?
Well, if you created that or someone else?
Someone else.
Well, then you are not liable. I mean, if you have not created that, if someone is trying to create an image and trying to put words or trying to put, use your image for something that you have not given approval, then yes, you are not liable. I mean, whoever is. So that's another, concern. It's a very gray area because, normally this data is used, the companies use this data and without our, we make transactions and it's recorded there. It's not like we have all of this, fine prints that we try to, but, not everyone reads the fine prints. But but let me just one more in terms of this risks of AI is bias. A lot of these models that are built that we are using are created based on the previous data, right? And if in the previous data that has been bias and discrimination and inequality, then these models, there is no like a fair justice system inside the model, right? The model will produce bias, inequality, discrimination. So it is very important that we be aware of that. It's because that can be reflected, like a hiring application may be biased. In the past has been biased practices in hiring, then may be reflected.
By a hiring manager.
By a hiring manager. Or so now that they are recorded, and that's what's used to train the models. And now the model is going to produce bias and discrimination. We have that at the university. Like we have our university, University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, has a very unique student population, like first generation college students in the family. And if there has been bias in the overall United States about, if that segment is not considered significantly in the previous models, so we may have. So we have to be careful, and we need to train the models. Like 9,000, I think it's better to use 9,000 customers who are your customers rather than so you can use those models, data that we have. It's, the more data, the better, but I think the bias is there. So
that's awesome. And I'll tell you why this sort of helps me segue in. Thank you very much for that, because it gives us a good, at least it gives me a great picture of sort of like where this is going. And one of the things I wanted to ask Briana was, like, what do you, I think the professor mentioned it earlier on about job loss. So we talk about efficiencies, but how has it impacted you with regards to how you look at AI and its particularly take away jobs?
I really appreciate that question because that is the fear, but let's talk about the car industry in, mid 20th century when what the assembly line looked like 75 years ago and what it looks like now is completely different. Technology will replace some positions, but in the same respect, creates positions. In terms of the bias for technology, there's going to have to be a new skill set, a new sector of individuals that provide that oversight and data integration to ensure that those biases aren't happening. The same for AI and job loss. I want to take it in two approaches, Lorne, and Dr. Asllani, please chime in at any point. There will be positions, I think of repetitive task work for administrative assistants. I think of bookkeeping. I think of data analysis. There will be some positions that are automated in a way that AI will replace those positions. But from a freelancer standpoint, now I'm talking to entrepreneurs, the time it took for you to provide a marketing strategy for a client, that 3 days, you can do in 4 hours. So there are still those opportunities. And I think if people pivot and if people are creative and embrace the changes of AI, and that's what if there's nothing else that I hope to achieve in this conversation, is for people to understand that you use AI anyway.
Absolutely.
In your day-to-day life. It's available, you're using it understand it and embrace it and find ways to make your life a little bit easier. I'm talking to freelancers now. You can increase your productivity. You can take on that client that you didn't have the capacity to take on. So in terms of opportunity, AI is available and it changes all the time. Every time I'm using an AI system, AI reaches out to me and provides me an even better version of that system. So it's just important. And you know, what I want to accomplish, and again here, is encouraging business owners to skill up. We talk about scale up, but providing data and providing training on how you can increase efficiency in your business, because then that's how your job is secured. You're taking and you're increasing your productivity and bettering that bottom line for that business, and that's job security.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's more proactive.
Absolutely.
The direction.
Yeah, what you said earlier, like when you ask, you know, business owners or successful CEOs, say, what's your secret to success? You know, they say, well, I surround myself with people who are smarter than me.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's what you say. So now here's a chance to surround ourselves with a smart technology.
Absolutely.
So there is nothing to fear. I mean, if you use it, like Briana said, if you use it for specific tasks, you keep your, you know, your human input and human insights and decision making and control and direct what you want the AI to do, that will be a huge plus.
And I have to say, I'm going to go a little off script here in terms of AI, particularly from this notion of small business development. I think the other thing is, how do we begin to bring people into the conversation to embrace it as a small business person? You know, how do you see it versus a tool versus like, well, I'm maybe a little bit too cautious about this? Are there ways in which you can look at training and development per se? Or, and again, how did you move past that to say, well, here's how I've been able to implement it. Here's where I've seen the return on investment for myself. Either one of you in terms of this sort of taking a shot at that.
Well, one thing is by demystifying AI. I mean, that's the whole idea that what is this technology? It's going to replace us. You know, that there is that feeling out there. So by just understanding that this is a software machine that is built by computers, by humans, sorry, is built by humans, and then can perform tasks that humans want to perform, performs much faster, much better, the processes the information much better way, and then we can all use it to benefit, at least at this stage. Now, we're not talking about 30, 40 years from now, which we have probably a different level of AI, but at this stage, computers perform very good on specific tasks. Like ask a machine learning, you can write a nice machine learning algorithm to identify the most valuable customers, to identify the best marketing strategies, web versus Google versus newspaper ad, and based on the past, it's going to tell you what's the best for this kind of customers that you have, for example. So it's a lot of these tasks, you can do them, you can become more efficient, and so that requires that everyone needs to be aware and needs to learn about AI, and how do we bring people like this panel discussions, workshops. There's a lot of last night, you know, about NVIDIA, you know, 10 free courses. I just came on my inbox. Like there are available courses and they are free for people who are interested. They can subscribe to these courses and learn. And we at the university have several venues. Like next week, I have another presentation with the CEOs of the community. So it's like an executive briefing. And we have courses in our university, and I'm sure Chattanooga State has courses, and so yeah.
There are courses on YouTube University.
Yes, YouTube University. And just one small thing, like we have a business analytics club at our school. And just last week, on the 18th of March, they went to high schools, a couple of high schools here in town, and showing them some AI applications, just to incite them, to make sure that high school kids know about this, and hey, they can study about AI, and that's good for their career in the future. So give them an opportunity to get them more involved.
And Lorne, I want to address that too. When I talk to business owners, it's always one more thing we have to do. I have to learn artificial intelligence now. if you feel that way, AI is really for you. Burnout is real. If you are burnt out in your business, we never talk about it, but most business owners are. You know, we live, eat, walk, sleep our businesses. So if you're in a state of burnout, AI is for you. You'll be able to, how often do you miss that customer's phone call, or that follow-up isn't as detailed or sufficient as you would like? There's that technology available. And I'll throw in, my recommendations are not endorsed by the Chamber or Chatt Taste. It's simply what I'm using currently, and that might change next week. But Zapier, if someone goes to your website and has a question, no one wants to go to your frequently asked questions page. They want to interact with a online messaging system. Now, do you have the capacity? Do you have the bottom line to hire someone to interact with 3 customers on Monday, 80 on Thursday? You have no idea how to manage that flow. No, that's where technology comes into place. You can train your website, and that's what I use Zapier for, as a chat bot. It has enough information based on the information from my website to answer basic level questions. Now, is there going to be that customer that hit 0? I want to speak to an agent? Absolutely. But it's still a useful tool for business owners that are experiencing that burnout, that need to utilize available resources. Zapier is an excellent option. You know, another one that Chatt Taste is using is Blaze. You can put your URL into this technology and it will define your brand voice. Now, if your brand voice is wrong on your website, you know, that information will be biased, but that allows you to fine tune what that messaging is on your website, and it will generate TikTok scripts. It'll generate email campaigns. It'll come up with your LinkedIn post. It'll generate Facebook and Google ads for you, because burnout is real. Sometimes I sit in front of my Instagram and say, I don't know what I'm going to say in this caption. I'm not feeling it. And so I think ChatGPT has become the Xerox of AI. You know, you say AI, but yeah, you're using ChatGPT.
You say Xerox, people may not even
I know, I'm sure. But yeah, okay. Well, we'll see how what this audience is. Like, what is Xerox? Get her off the panel. But you know, ChatGPT is the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how you can utilize AI. But I'm speaking to that business owner. If you're tired, AI is for you, because there are so many time savings resources available. I've gone from a 75-hour work week to a 30-hour work week using AI.
Wow.
I have one position that monitors and manages all of our marketing, our email campaigns, essentially 3 positions in one, with the same hours that staff was working, because she has the tools available to be more productive. I have a better quality of life through AI, and there are concerns. There will be concerns, but AI is here to stay, and if you're not utilizing the resources, so start there. Start with what I'm using, Blaze and Zapier. See if those resources benefit your business.
Yeah, and these products are becoming better and better every day. Like every week you get new upgrades and new versions.
AI, for example,
and
Yeah, absolutely. But I do want to ask this one question back at you, Briana, but just real quickly, and that is just thinking about like the future in terms of small business and AI. What steps are taken to ensure business stay competitive increasingly in this AI-driven landscape? You kind of touched on it earlier, just looking at some of these other new applications, but any additional thoughts on that? Like, you know, given the landscape, how is it that particularly when the article I penned, it talked about the percentage of small businesses, particularly historically marginalized, who don't have the access, who don't have the familiarity, and it may be a little bit of a fear factor with that. So, you know, how have you looked at those factors, how you yourself have moved past them, and then talking to other small businesses in terms of your interaction with the chamber, et cetera, you know, what are some of the takeaways from that?
First and foremost, there's data that says that minority-owned businesses have a harder time accessing capital. So in terms of scaling your business, and you need additional positions to grow your company, What do you do when historically you don't have those same access to resources as your counters? Marginalized businesses, women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses will be left behind, and it will increase that gap in terms of what success looks like for your business if you don't incorporate available technology. I think of social media. I think of teaching my grandmother to text. Once she learned to text on her cell phone, communication improved. You have to keep up with the times, and as daunting as that feels, and again, I am speaking to those small business owners. I am speaking to minority business owners. I am speaking to women-owned businesses. You will get left behind, and that wedge between you and your counter will increase if you do not adopt and pivot with what's available. Technology will not wait for you. You have got to be more strategic, and you have to be aware, and it's okay to not know. I think we need to normalize asking questions and being the least informed. We all are. I got into AI at the end of 2023. I'm no expert, and again, my recommendations will change next week, admittedly. But if I am aware that if I did not embrace artificial intelligence, if I didn't find useful tools to incorporate that into my business, then I would be left behind. And there will be businesses that will put me out of business if I didn't incorporate what's available.
That's awesome. That's so true. And just for the sake of time, too, I just want to ask one or two additional questions. And then I also want to ask you guys, as you think about this, what's that call to action from this taken away, not only from this conversation, but where we are right now. But I want to touch on one question I want to direct to Professor, and that is that you mentioned earlier on and you spoke to it, this maturation process. And I know I mentioned in the article that I penned that looking at these chat bots and some of these other more interactive, you spoke about it. Some people want to talk to folks in person. But can you just speak to, where do you perceive this is going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, yeah. So just to start where Briana's last point about divide, like the digital technology divide, that's a major concern for small businesses and minority businesses. So that's a major concern. In that aspect, I would recommend that there is a lot of open sources there. Actually, for every proprietary technology, there is an open source version. So that will be something that can be used. And as I said earlier, there are so many online courses, there are so many resources out there that can be used. And we can look at the positive side because of using the technology. We can use AI now to level the playing field, because we can have the same marketing expertise that another big company is using. You can use it on your own small business. So that's something that it's a big positive thing. But looking ahead, I mean, first, if I am 5 years from now, I will be looking at this moment and say, we're trying to find out what is this AI and how are we going to figure out. So that's something. And the speed of growth is so amazing. I mean, every week I get hundreds of emails with new add-ons and new things. This is happening. You can do this. So that's something. But I think in the future, if I look at the personal level, professional level, we will be impacted by AI. We'll be using it as part of our life to be better, be faster, more productive. Briana said she spends less time now because of AI. As a professor, I really do spend less time because I use AI to generate drafts of papers, to generate draft of emails, and you can actually create your own Chat GPT, customized Chat GPT. I want to create an assistant for marketing or for accounting, and they provide some documents, provide your business strategy. So you can do all of that, and so that's going to be there. So that's an individual, professional. Businesses at the same time will be driven by AI. Will be those businesses that are using AI, are those that are going to stay ahead of curve. Absolutely. And it's an amazing technology. Things will be different from now. It's hard to think about how it's going to change, but it's going to be a radical change. Usually businesses are like gradual change, but this is going to be a radical change. What do I mean? Let's say you are a roof installer, right? Now with the AI technology, what you, without AI, now what you just, try to have data about when the roof was installed and try to market customers. With the AI, when you have much more data, much more reliable models, when you have like 99.5% chance that the customer is going to buy, you probably will not do any marketing at all. You just go send the crew to go ahead and install the roof. I know it's different way of thinking, but this radical changes create a new set of rules. And if you want to be successful in the new paradigm, we need to learn the new set of rules and embrace the new set of rules.
Understood. So guys, I just want to thank you both for your time, and I really appreciate it, and it's been very insightful. But before we sort of close it out, I do have this thought in mind, like, what is this call to order? I'm called to action. We've had a chance to talk about from your perspective as well as from the academic perspective, and also talk about where it's going, the efficiencies, also the barriers as well, and the fact that we're not going to get around this. This is something that's going to have to be in place. So what do you think guys see as this call to action? I mean, part of it I've thought about in terms of, I think you guys touched on it before, training and development. Institutions taking more of a sort of a central role, because debatably this is another industrial age for us, utilizing AI. Any thoughts about that?
Well, one major role in this call to action is university. That's where it comes. I think the education is important, and we at the university are doing a lot of workshops, seminars, trying to educate. We're actually developing courses on AI intensively. We have AI for business now, which is the first semester I'm about to finish. We have a course that is going to be a general education course. So every student, no matter the major, is going to learn about AI. So, and I think that's a call for universities to really be representative. They are here for the community, and then making sure that we can train, we can create these models. Another aspect I think is dealing with these downsides, like the bias and the ethical concerns. So local governments and policymakers should try to work more in the idea of setting up rules and regulations and even laws to make sure that this technology is implemented the best way possible.
I am more of a dive in head first type of gal.
Army brat.
I am Army brat. But to Dr. Asllani's point, you have to understand what AI is first. But my call to action is understand your business. AI is only beneficial if you understand your company and what your business needs are and what growth looks like for your company. AI will not critically think for you. You teach it the data. So you do need to understand what you want in terms of a growth plan for your business first, and then use AI to generate AI options for you. Pick one piece of AI available. There's hundreds, and most of them are in beta. What that means is that they are still building out those mechanisms. So from a feasibility standpoint, they're not high cost technologies. Find one piece of technology, whether you want to automate your email campaigns, if you want to increase your CRM and have a better workflow for your leads. Find one element of your business and use AI to improve that, and then scale from there.
That's awesome.
Layer your AI in, but start with one component of your business that you can automate, particularly things you don't like to do.
Correct.
I use AI for things that do not bring me joy.
Sure. That makes sense.
But yeah, layer on, understand your business first, educate yourself, and choose one item of your business to automate through AI. Build from there.
That's great.
And the next point, I think, for companies, it's time for them to start thinking about the strategy on the AI. So where are going to be, like a last question, 5 years from now?
Sure.
So, and start working toward that, trying to say, it's going to be like outsourcing, I'm going to create collaboration with other partners, I'm going to create my own team, training, so all of these things, like we need to have a strategy then.
And I would just add this from a Chamber of Commerce perspective, and that is that it creates an opportunity for chambers to think about how do we aid and help our members look at AI as a tool, just actually look at economic expansion. So it makes me think about our business literacy series as a component that we could add, thinking about our procurement process program that we have. How do we look at AI to help enhance the efforts of our businesses that we're working with. So again, I just want to thank you both for being here today. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I think our members will as well. On behalf of the Chamber, my name is Lorne Steedley. I just want to thank you guys for participating in today's DEI Forum. Also, I want to thank our corporate sponsor, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee, for the ongoing support of the DEI Forum. Thank you and have a pleasant day.